Welcome to the Innovia Consulting webinar series. This session is powered by US Transactions Corporation. USD is a boutique payment processing firm, providing you with personalized service. Scan the QR code to learn more about Innovia Consulting and to see the latest Business Central news and training for your business.
We'll be going through how you can connect your emails to BC, send emails out, connect documents, so forth. If you have any questions, feel free at any time, put them in the chat, and I will do my best to answer them. So a little bit about me. I am a junior application consultant with Innovia Consulting. I've been with Innovia for about a year and a half. We're coming up on 2 years, surprisingly. I graduated from Indiana University. I am a Navy brat, so I grew up kind of everywhere in the US, but that's a little bit about me. First and foremost, we're going to start off with one of these questions. So what email applications are you currently using within your system? This can be Outlook, Gmail, Yahoo, just getting an idea of what everyone's using right now. And we'll give a few seconds to have everyone answer. Right. All right. Hopefully everyone's answered. All right, so setting up email accounts with MBC, the first thing. There's really 3 different ways you can set up a email account with MBC. First off is the Microsoft 365 account. Second one is going to be that current user, and the third one is going to be that SMTP. The Microsoft user is, most people set it up as a shared user account or shared email account that you set up. Example of this would be a sales department email account, customer service email, etc. Current users are whatever user is currently using BC, so that would be a personal email account. It would be sending emails directly from the individual correspondent. And then finally, that SMTP is using an SMTP mail server. Very similar. You may recognize it from Nav. If you used Nav previously, Nav is where that kind of was used primarily. So we'll be going through these 3 options. So setting up an email account, and we'll go through this in a second, but we're going to go through that the steps. So you're going to go search for the setup email account. BC does a really good job. They have a really nice setup steps to go through in BC, and we'll see that in a second. You will select the account that you wish to set up. Again, that goes back to the Microsoft 365 current user or that SMTP. And then you will go through and click finish. Note that you have to have at least one default email account so the system knows if it has to send an email. If there's no email already attached to that scenario, which we'll talk about further in the presentation, it will use this default email account to send that email. The first is the setting up the 365. Here you're going to need to know the account name, which is what you're going to see when you're seeing the accounts in BC. And then the other one is obviously the email address. The current user is a little bit different, so it's automatically going to bring in that name as current user. And the email address, like I said earlier, is going to be whatever user email address that you're currently using in BC. You're also going to see on most of these the set as default, just so you can set whatever email you need as default. Third one, of course, is going to be the SMTP. We're going to have a number of fields that you're going to need to fill out in order to activate an SMTP. That includes the account name, that sender name, the server URL that you want to host the SMTP on, the server port, the authentication field, and then you also have that username and password for secure SMTP accounts. And if it is a secure connection, you also have that secure connection field that allows it, that requires a secure connection that uses a cryptography or a security protocol. All right, So at this point, we're actually going to go into BC and take a look at this. So to set up email accounts, again, you're going to go into the search bar and set up email. Again, it's going to pull up this very handy wizard and give you all the information you need. So in this case, you can set up a current user, which is what I'm currently using right now. We'll go through that first. And you'll see that my email is being pulled in, and then that current user is automatically being posted as the account name. And then finish and automatically done. See all the email accounts that you have in your system. You can simply go to email accounts, and you will see all the entered ones. You'll see the current user that I just entered, and then you'll see a few accounts that I've set up for the testing purposes within this webinar. One more time, set up email address. Ooh. And this time we'll go through and we'll set up a Microsoft 365 account. Here, for me, since it's me, we'll just use my name. And then you will type in whatever email account you wish for the 365. So this could be, in this case, I'm using my actual account. Ooh, it's giving me an error because it's not full. Give me 1 second. Right. It's going to pull in. If I wanted to set as default, again, I could toggle this Boolean field right here and finish. Refresh the page. And again, you'll see that new email has been entered. From this page, you can also set different, if you need to change your email account, that's a default. You can set defaults here. You can compose an email from here, send test emails to make sure that your email is connected correctly to BC, send an email rate limit, set the email rate limit, and then delete email accounts if you need to. All right. So, time for the next question. How many current email accounts are, or how many email accounts are currently active within your system or in your business? And we'll give you a few seconds for you to answer that. Awesome. I believe we have everyone. So I'm seeing a lot of people using a lot of emails. Obviously, that is totally okay in BC. We're about to go over how you can section those emails and kind of automate the process so you don't have to think about which emails you're using to send different kinds of correspondence. Awesome. So I am going to move on. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me. All right, composing and actually sending an email. So sending an email messages individually there are basic formatting tools, fonts, styles, very similar to what you're used to within your current email applications. Do note that attachments can be added up to 100 millibytes, so do keep that in mind. If an email is created from a document, we're going to go over a sales confirmation example. You can actually display that that document within your email or attach that document so that whoever your client is or your correspondent is, they can also get the corresponding document to you. There are two simple ways, pretty easy ways to get to the Compose email. So the first one is going to be that search icon and then actually search the Compose email and select the related link. The second one is to go into that email accounts page that we showed when we were setting up the email and actually composing the email from there. And we'll go through that in a second. All righty. So we're back in BC. Once again, we're going to go to the Compose an email to start with. Now, when you compose an email, you'll notice a lot of different fields on this page. First and foremost, you'll notice that the From field is automatically populated with the email address that's default within your system. You're also going to see the to, CC, BCC, and subjects. To fill out the to, CC, and BCC, you'll hit the ellipses, and that's going to pull up the suggested email addresses. Here, you're going to have a few email addresses that BC is going to use its code to recommend. But if you don't see the email address that you want to use, simply go up to the three dots in the header, see the full address list, and then select the group in which you need it, you're looking for. So in this case, let's say we're looking for a customer. This is now going to pull up a list of all the customers that are entered within your system, as well as their contacts. So here you can select whichever email you need. Press OK. And now that's going to be filled into the to. Like most situations, your subject is going to be a free-form field. You have your message portion here. Again, you have your basic formatting tools, fonts, etc., just like you would in most email. And then finally, you have the attachments portion. Here, you can add files from your system, add default files if you have that already set up in your within your BC system. If the email is being created from an actual source document, here you can attach that source document. Or if you have your Word templates set up within your BC system, you can attach any Word templates that you have. And then, of course, if you do have attachments in your email, you can easily delete them using the delete tool. Obviously, when you back out of a composed email, if you haven't finished it, you haven't sent it, you have the option to keep it as a draft within your email outbox. We'll be going through that later in the presentation. Finally, you have that discard email option if you want to just get rid of it, which is what we're going to use right now. And again, your second option to compose an email individually is to go to the email accounts. And here you'll actually select which email you want to compose it from. So say you want to send an email from the purchasing department. Here you'll process, compose an email, and it'll bring up the same page that we just were at. While we're here, this is where you send that test email, and I believe we already went over that. So now we will go back to the presentation. All right, sending documents by email. You can send pretty much any type of documents from within BC using from a PDF attachment or using PDF attachments. You can also set up report layouts within BC to actually send custom text, custom emails, etc., to different types of clients if you have that set up, vendors, etc. we have Innovia has an amazing webinar on report layouts. It is a very in-depth subject. I highly recommend you guys check it out if you want more information on report layouts. They're an incredibly useful tool with MBC. It's a lot more in depth to go through when we're going over the emails. But again, that webinar is incredibly insightful. Highly recommend. There are two key options to specify how information is sent to your contacts. The first one is that document sending profile. This is going to dictate how documents are sent to your clients or your contacts. And the next one is the email scenarios, which is going to be the automation process of if I'm sending, say, a sales document, it's going to automatically know to sell it or to send it from the sales department email. And we'll go over these two in a second. All right. So the third question is, what kind of documents do you usually send out to customers and vendors, if any? And we'll give a few seconds or a few moments for people to respond. And it looks like we have a question as well. Awesome. It looks like we have some sales orders, invoices, donation acknowledgements, invoices, remittance advice. Awesome. Proposals. Good. And all of these situations can be used with MBC with the email functionality. Awesome. So we're going to move on to the document sending profiles. So the document sending profiles, you can set up individually each customer and vendor with a preferred method of sending sales and purchase documents. So this includes if you want to send them printed documents, email documents, etc. You can also set up different profiles on the customer and vendor card. So within your document sending profile, and we'll show this in BC in a second, you're going to have four main options. The first one is going to be the printer. It's going to be every time you hit the print and send, it's going to print off the document, the attached document, and if you have it set up, the default setup in BC, it will use the default, or you have the option to select the yes and prompt for settings. And that's going to, every time you hit that print and send button, it's going to prompt the settings for that printing. Next one is going to be the email. Be self-explanatory. Whenever you hit that print and send button, it's going to send an email attachment of the PDF. That's going to be the default. If you have multiple PDF documents, you also have the option to combine PDF documents. So if you have multiple files, this action will combine it whenever it's sent into one PDF. So your clients don't have 30 different PDFs they have to open in one email. The next one is going to be the disk option. This is going to be if you want to automatically have your PDF files saved as an electronic file. The next one is that electronic document. This one is if you guys have a specific service or format that you guys or that your company uses to import and export their documents, this is the option you would go with, and then you could upload the specific electronic format that you need for the added ISV to work. All right, and then we'll take a look at document sending within BC. So we're going to go to the document sending profiles. Here you'll see that I've already set up 4: the direct to file, the electronic document, email, and printer. And when you open these up and you select a new one, you'll be able to enter a code here, the description of said code, if you would like this to be the default document sending profile. And then here you have your options. With most of them, you'll see, you'll see that you have the yes prompt for settings and the yes use default settings options with all of these 4 options. Again, if you hit the yes prompt for settings, it's going to prompt your settings every time you hit print or send, regardless. You'll also notice that if you say yes to the email, you'll be able to specify if you want it as in a PDF, electronic document, or both. And again, if you have this electronic document through electronic document exchange, and then you have your format here, and you can load or configure any of your formats that you need for your service. Awesome. Going back to the presentation here. All right, now we're on to assigning email scenarios. So email scenarios are processes that involve sending a document or notifications, invitations, etc., to external accounts. You can specify which email accounts and which scenarios should be used. Note that you can only have one email attached to a single scenario, so you can't have 2 different emails attached to one scenario. And then we'll be going through how to add scenarios and reassign scenarios and then remove the scenarios as such. Any scenarios that aren't set up within your system are going to use that default email account whenever you try to send an email using that. So do keep that in mind. All right. We'll go ahead and go take a look at the email scenario setup. So you're going to search for the email scenario assignment. Here you're going to notice in black and bold, you'll have every email that you have within your system. And then you'll have the scenarios that are already attached to them below the corresponding email address. So here you'll notice that I have a few already assigned. So vendor, posted vendor remittance, purchase orders, purchase quotes, etc. They're automatically going to be sent from the purchase department. Customer service, notifications, customer statements, they're all going to the customer service email address. And here you're going to actually click to assign your email scenarios. You'll notice that there's a preset number of scenarios here. You're not able to edit these, add them, or move them from the list, but you do not have to have them assigned at all times. So you'll notice a lot of different scenarios here. Again, keep in mind, you can only have one email attached to the scenario at one time. So for this case, we'll set up the sales orders. Oh, I did not want to attach that. So you'll notice I had the my current user highlighted. And when I assigned that, it assigned it directly to the current user. So to undo that, you'll select reassign here, select on the line, reassign. And in this case, we're going to the sales department. And that will reassign it to the correct email address. You'll also notice if you click a scenario, you have the unassigned option, as well as set scenario attachment. If you have a list of attachments or a list of documents that automatically go with some of these scenarios, you can attach them so they're automatically attached every time. This is where you would do that. Here you can download attachments and so forth, setting up a new file. And here you will just upload your file like usual with MVC functionality. Alrighty. Moving on. So now that we've gone through the different scenarios and document profiles, we're going to go through how to actually send a order confirmation, in this case, out of the BC system. So here, we're going to go back to BC. And we are going to create a sales order. It's going to be a very simple sales order, just so we can send an order confirmation. Here, we're going to select the customer. We're going to change this to a GL account here. And we're going to say inventory. Just for a placeholder. And then here in the print and send option, you can send the email confirmation here. You'll notice that it is already populating from the sales department since we set up that email scenario saying sales orders need to come from the sales department. Of course, you have the option to change it if needed. You have the two, which is is already populated with the customer or the vendor. And then finally, you have the message portion. Here you'll notice the order confirmation and all the information is already loaded up here. And then down in the attachments portion, this sales order is attached. If it wasn't attached here or you deleted it for some reason, you can add the file from the source document and it will re-add that file or the file. And then from here, you send the email and away it goes. So now that we've sent emails and so forth, how do we see them? So checking your sent emails. It's very simple. BC makes it very easy. All you have to do is go to the sent emails page, which we'll show in a second once we get through this. And then you will be able to see any of your sent emails that you've sent. You can resend emails, forward them to other people if needed, and then access your sent emails and see the information that you sent them. Very similar to your email application that you're using right now. And then finally, you have the email outbox. Very similar to the email sent email box. Here you're going to see all the emails that have been saved as drafts or have failed to send. So if you have any errors with your sending process, this is where you're going to troubleshoot those errors. You will also be able to see the error. If there is an error with the email, you'll be able to click the show error button and it'll show the problem or what BC thinks the problem is. And then you also have that investigate error button, which will help to troubleshoot what the problem actually is. So we will take a second and go to BC and see these. So the first one we're going to check out is the sent email. Here you'll see the test email message that I sent earlier in the day, or actually earlier in the week. You can resend, edit and send the message again, or show the source document if it was produced from a document. And finally, the outbox email. Here you'll see all the drafts and failed messages that you sent. I had a number of failed messages when I was setting this up. Here, you'll notice you have the show error button, which is going to show you more in depth what that error message is. And of course, the investigate error, which will try to tell you how to fix the problem. In my opinion, it's not very intuitive, but the error messages usually are a pretty good indication of what's going wrong. And then finally, if there is a document attached to the email, you can show that document using this button. On that note, that is, oh, of course, I went all the way to the end. On that note, that about finishes my presentation. Is there any questions from anyone? Looks like, is it possible to default the email to be used for certain documents? So if you're asking about the email scenarios, yes. So you can set up different situations in which the default email should be used. If you don't have any email scenarios or any scenarios set up, or from within the actual customer and vendor cards, or in general, it will automatically be using that default account, if that answers your question. Believe that came in from Michelle. What about for the to email address? Are you referring to the incoming email addresses? If so, you usually we recommend that you have a email address that you give out to your customers and say, hey, this is the email that we prefer you to use. If you have any, so always sending sales orders to the contact on the order instead of, so always sending sales orders to the contact on the order itself instead of the, so you want to, so you're sending, you want to send the email to someone other than the email address that's entered on the actual card, but you want to send it to the contacts. That is possible. You can set up, let me see here if I can show it. Customer. I'll have to, I possibly will have to get back to you on how to actually, I know you can default it so that the contact email address is used, but I will have to get back to you on how to exactly get that to default. But I'm sorry I couldn't answer your question fully, Michelle, but I will get back to you on that one. Yep, add more than one person, so so if you want to add more than one person here, it is going to use that colon there. If you can see, I know it's just really small. Let's test it out just to be sure. But I believe there is a space. Oh, no space. I stand corrected. Any other questions?